Battle report of an in-person game with miniatures, Salamanders vs Halflings. Stay tuned.
Hello there! I like to watch battle reports to get better at games. So I started making short, summarized battle reports that focus on learning points. So welcome to my channel, Newbie Dice. Do like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you enjoy my videos. Do consider speeding up this video with the YouTube settings to consume this content or other YouTube content in a fraction of the time. Alright, so this is a battle report featuring my new Salamanders army, which is the first time I'm going to feature in a battle report on my channel. I have did a video about all my 6 armies, and I have linked it up in the link up above on your top right. And yeah, so let's take a look at this army in particular. So I have an old Phoenix actually from my Basilean days. It was even still on a 50mm base. I rebased it on a 75. And yeah, the theme of my Salamanders is actually Avatar for the movie, right? So the Salamanders, the Saurus warriors that I use is unfortunately blue team. I like to have funky color schemes, but because the Navi are blue, so these Sauruses are blue. I did add a braid on them, so you can see this here. This is using twine, but then I also did some in this synthetic string, which I like even better. Just painted it black because it has all these textures in it. Okay, this is a Mage Priest. This is a Lechelidon, which is a WizKid D&D miniature. These are Tyrants. I'm using Privateer Press Gateman Posse. These are Forest Shamblers, which I added flames onto them because I also made a challenge for myself when I made this army. I had an old fantasy Lizardman army that I've never built into Salamanders, although I do buy a few odd models here and there to eventually make my Salamanders army. So when there was a local campaign, slow grow campaign, I decided to do up the army. And since I've already bought some stuff here and there, I gave myself the challenge that I will not buy any more models just to build this army. So I have to clear my pile of grey plastic and metals, right? So I only had Forest Shamblers. I wanted Fire Elementals, so I just added Flames. So this was a tree herder that I scratch built quite a long time ago, but I finally finished it and then added Flames to make it dual use as a greater fire elemental or tree herder or wildfather in future. So this is actually made out of woodland scenic tree bits, okay, with actual branches, and then the head is actually a piece of stone. Okay, and this one of the beasts in the first Avatar movie. Not a lot of people remember them because they're just a small clip. So I painted them in the same color scheme of the blue blending into red, blending into skin tones. These are Ember Sprites, which I used Privateer Press again. I forgot what they're called. I think maybe they're called Blight Wasps. Yep. And I lost most of them. I think they came in a group of 5 or 6. I only had 2 left, so I made them into Ember Sprites. And these are my Pterodon Riders, and they're old school metal minis that I made into the Banshees. And I'll elaborate more on these I have more pictures of this in my army showcase video. Alright, this is the Panther-like creature or Puma-like creature in the first Avatar, and then I painted this Grimlock Kroga on Grimlock, and I'm using it as Rakawas, the Pale Rider. Okay, and I thought the black and white was a little bit monotonous, so I added some browns on the scales and purple on the spikes. And then this is the Toruk, so I've painted it in the same scheme, all done with contrast paints, and I even like screenshotted the patterns so that I can mimic the patterns. And this is the list. So the list I built is also confined to the minis I have to build the list, right? So most things you see here, I guess, is pretty standard, especially Thick Chaff in the Ransaw Regiment, and Scorchwings are always good. 2 questionable choices would be the Clan Lord on Fire Drake. It's mainly because I want to field this awesome model. Okay, so maybe in the future I'll field him as a Phoenix. We'll see how it goes. But I do have the Phoenix, and it's upgraded to Ancient Phoenix. It's not a popular choice. I did this mainly because I built this list before the compendium book dropped. Okay, the 3.5 book drop. So back then the Phoenix was 195 points. So when the list was done, when the army was completed, the compendium dropped. So there was a 50-point discount, and I have no other minis to field, right? I don't have anything else painted. So I decided to upgrade to Ancient Phoenix. I had 20 points left over. So I put Staying Stone on the Scorch Wings, which I might have forgotten in this game because I got wavered quite often. And I have put the Ancient Phoenix 30 points. So another 15 points is the Striding Boots on the Tyrants, which previously they don't have. So I don't think the Ancient Phoenix is worthwhile, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, for my opponent's list, we are playing with Halflings. So we have I don't think I want to read through every single thing, but there's quite a decent amount of shooting with the Engineers. They are very good shooters, and because if you take the Halfling Long Rifle, the range attack becomes 3. But however, when we made this report, the companion app was not showing properly that it was range 3, so my opponent has been playing as range 4 the whole time. The formation is pretty interesting because the poachers became very good at 150 points, range attack 4 plus, and bow range 24. Yeah, without the formation, their range attack is 5 plus. Okay, with it is 4 plus, and they have both Spellword and Stealthy. So any form of shooting at them is at a -1. In cover is a -2, so they are pretty annoying to take out. What is missing on them is Steady Aim, but they do have Scout to compensate for that. Okay, and their combat is actually pretty decent because it's actually better than their shooting because there's a vicious melee here. Okay, they do have Pathfinder also, so if you sit in forest the whole day and finally charge out, you won't get hindered charge. Okay, the slight tax would be Ellie McSween because she is a assassin-like character, so which is not very popular in the meta right now. She is a decent assassin though because she also gains Rampage D3 on top of Duelist, right? So this Rampage gets doubled. Okay, her Master Thief ability sometimes see effect, sometimes doesn't. So the key when you play this formation is to get value out of Ellie McSween. Otherwise, yeah, pretty standard stuff I would say, including the Pride of the Shires as a defense 6 anchor. Next, a quick shout out to my local game store. If you're from the Asia Pacific region, do consider checking out Hammer House website for your hobby needs. They carry a wide range of miniatures and hobby supplies, including Mantic, Vallejo, Scale 75, and Green Stuff World products. So next up is just some screenshots of my army on the table displayed. So this is one flank and this is the other flank. Alright, and now the deployment. My opponent is currently building up his Halfling miniatures, so the whole army is proxied. We are playing Salt the Earth, which is one of the most interesting scenarios to me because it's an interesting decision for you whether you want to burn the token because you have to control it to burn it. Okay, so and you burn it because you're going to lose it, right? So you have to think one step ahead when you're going to lose it and then you burn it off. Okay, so these are the 7 tokens placed and we're playing with no withdraw rules. Okay. Now, I scouted up my Ember Sprites a little bit, hoping to move up and burn this token if I get turn 1, but I totally forgot that they have Shambling, so that means I can't move on the double, which I made the mistake later on. Right, this is just my second outing with Salamanders. I remembered most of the rules, except the new items I placed, and I think the Shambling rule on the Ember Sprite. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the placement here. So there is this big building over here that sort of divides the map this way. Okay, and my opponent chose to put that cavalry horde on this flank. So there's only this token over here, right? So I was thinking, okay, I'm just gonna bait and switch, and I'm just focus more on the right side. I'll just sacrifice stuff to delay the knights on the left. Okay, because at most they're gonna get 1 token here. And then if I burn this token, then that's it for these lances, hopefully. But they do have Nimble, so they can reposition fairly quickly. Okay, so I wanted to fight mainly on these 5 tokens over here. Okay, so I'm quite heavily deployed on the right side. Unfortunately, he's also quite heavily deployed. His 2 poachers are here ready to shoot. So I kept my Scorch Wings behind the forest. This is the forest, okay, so that they don't get shot at because they are quite fragile in defense 4. So I screened my Tyrants with the Rhinosaur. This has always been a battle group that I've always planned. The Rhinosaur being taller hides the Tyrants from being shot at. The Cannon on Fire Drake, I thought I was pretty confident, just leave him out in the open because I wanted to threaten the flank, right? My healing sources will be the Phoenix, and the Mage Priest is a bit far from the middle. I was a bit overly confident. I'm like, oh, any wounds I can heal it off, but actually my healing units are quite far away. Okay. So what else I'd like to take note of? My opponents, right? Good center anchor, a lot of stuff on the side still, and let's see how things go. Just a quick showcase of my units on the table. The dice actually represent when I deployed them. Okay, so he won turn 1 and decided to go first. So a few interesting things happened. So my illegal move of moving at the double to burn this left token did not materialize, right? So he moved up a little bit and there's a sprinkling of shooting. Now you will notice that my most beautiful model, Clan on Fire Drake, was gone by the top of 1. Okay, if I'm not wrong, the poachers shot at them, 2 units of poachers and the engineer over here. The halfling, this gunnery sergeant on Troll should not be able to shoot because it's 18-inch with a 6-inch move. I'm not sure if he shot, but nonetheless, if it's only these 3 units that shot, the average damage should have been this amount, 5.3, maybe so 6 if you round it upwards. Yeah, but it died. I think he rode really hot on the poachers, so it died. I think it took maybe 7 or 8 damage, and then he rolled about 10 twice, something like that. Okay, so spiked on the damage, spiked on the nerf roll. And this engineer here shot at the Scorch Wings over here. Okay, so my opponent made a controversial move, which is to burn these 2 tokens from the get-go. Okay, which I thought was, on hindsight, isn't the correct move, because he's quite heavily deployed here. So if by burning this off, right, means he needs to come forward and get these tokens, but he has these 2 shooting platforms, right? So he should be comfortable sitting back and taking as much shots as he can. Yeah, and even if you want to burn it off, right, if you, let's say you think or you can tell that you're going to lose this flank, right, then you can even burn it off on later turns, because it would be at least a few turns before the situation develops to make you realize that you're going to lose this side. So yeah, burning off early is probably not a good idea. And maybe I might just swing my attention somewhere else since there's nothing to fight for over here. But of course, there's my own 2 tokens to fight for. Okay, so yep, things moved up. So my turn. So my Ember Sprites did the illegal move up to block the Lancers, the Wild Lancers. So although they're nimble, their base is very long. So by putting it up so close, it can't pivot past. Okay, so of course, if I don't go on the double, it'll be somewhere here. It started behind the hill so that it doesn't get shot at by the Ellie McSween, which is over here, and the Gunnery Sergeant. Okay. Yeah, if I adhere to Shamble, I will have placed this here and Rakawas behind. Okay. So, and then probably move this Fire Elementals out of charge range. Forest shows up to screen the poachers from being charged, and this is a unit of Braves, and the Gunnery Sergeant moved up to sacrifice itself as well. And the shooting actually wavered my Scorch Wings even though they were in cover. So I picked them into the forest and now they're wavered. Initially, the previous turn I healed off all their wounds from the Phoenix. Okay, so over on the left side is more interesting. It charged into my Ember Sprites and actually snake eyes, right? Double one did. Okay, and so the Knights or the Wild Lancers are stuck here, and he did charge the Gunnery Sergeant into these greater Fire Elemental to stop the flank charge. Okay, so there's a front charge from here, but actually I measured that this was within 12 and within the front arc, so the Fire Elementals was able to charge it in the flank with Rakawas in the front. So very likely a dead unit of Lancers there. Okay, so what else? I think, yeah, everything just moved up cautiously. So over here, I charged in on the left side, bottom of 2. Yep, so the triple charge killed off the wild lancers. So now it's turning back to face the gunnery sergeant, which I think was wavered by the greater fire, but the greater fire only has 8 or 9 attacks, so it wasn't enough to take it out at one go. So the side that I thought I would lose, I'm currently winning, right? And over here, over at the center, I've decided that his firepower was really very strong, so I really need to push up the ceremonial guard. So I pushed it up. It was actually within charge range of the harvester, the pride of the shires, and the poachers, right? But if I try to stay out of charge range, right, then it would not do anything the next turn. So I wanted to push it aggressively into charge range. I think to charge over here or even charge these units here. Okay, so that was the decision I made. Okay, and there's this unit of what do you call this, aeronauts as well. Okay, so the Scorch Wings is going to be a pattern. So after it got wavered, I pulled it out of the forest and continued healing it. My Mage Priest is over here right now, and then I think my Phoenix is just able to get Arc to heal it. Okay, so over here in the combats, my Rhinosaur charged into the forest trolls to hold it for a turn. Okay, and I was hoping that the Tyrants would clear out this gunnery sergeant and then be able to charge stuff at least, alright? So I could at least kill off the Braves and so on and so forth. Okay, a Lachelidon is moving up over here. And guess what? My Tyrants failed to kill the gunnery sergeant. And even though I popped the effigy of fire, I was rolling so poorly. Okay, just a take note of time. We're playing a 1 hour clock each, so I'm left with 35 and he's left with 38 at the bottom of 2. Okay, next, top of 3. Let's see. So over here, I think I was out of the harvester charge range. The harvester does have quite a low charge range yet, so I was in charge range of 3 units. Okay, the Braves moved up to the edge of this building so that it can't be flank charged. So the things that's in the flank, like the Rakawas, couldn't charge it. Alright, over here, triple charge. These are aeronauts, pride of the shires, and poachers. Okay, so I wrote the average damage that we deal is 4, 6, and 2.5, but he dealt 16, which was quite high, and wavered my unit. I do have headstrong, so I think I rolled the headstrong successfully to shake off the waiver. Okay, but that's the next turn. But following that, let's see over here. I think it's a double charge from the trolls in front, and the Braves from the flank took out the Rhinosaur Cav. Okay, and shooting over here because everything's in combat. I think the Tyrant's not in combat, but cover and all that. I think he elected to shoot at the Lachelidon, and I think it got wavered. Okay, so the Lachelidon back off, bottom of 3. Okay, I did spend a lot of time on this turn, so I'm left with 17 minutes. Okay, but the Lachelidon back off, the Tyrants killed off the thing again. And so now I charged my Phoenix into the Trolls to hold them up for a turn. Okay, my Scorch Wings got healed up. Okay, and then it poked back into the forest again, started shooting some stuff. I think I shot at the Braves since this is wounded. I might have taken some shots here in the early game. Can't remember exactly. Okay, yep, the triple charged ceremonial guard elected to charge the poachers because I've decided that, you know, if I charge here, I'll be in the wrath of the Braves and the harvester, so I charged the other end. So then I reformed to face this way. Okay, oops, I reformed to face, let me get the pen out, face this way. Okay, and I did a bit of heal from the Mage Priest, only 1 wound. Okay, it's on 15. So I think the pride, I'm not sure if it's out of arc. It might be out of arc. Okay, so only the aeronauts can charge. Granted, the aeronauts can do quite a bit of wounds. It's unaffected by phalanx because it always hits on 4. Okay, over here I position myself to charge into the Braves next round, and I think out of the Harvester charge range once again. Okay, so here's top of 4, and I think we let the clock run an extra 5 minutes on my clock. So just to take note, because I ran out of time in the end, but we decided to finish the game. So I thought, doing this battle report, I realized that the clock moved an extra 5 minutes since the end of my turn over here, 17. Okay, so over here, it charged my Rakawas. Okay, but Rakawas is 1820 nerf. Can take it like a boss, no problem. Okay, and then I can get to double or triple charge in return. Okay, and then the Harvester is facing down. Okay, and the Aeronauts killed the Ceremonial Guard. The Pride of the Shires, I think it turned this way and shot at the Scorchwings with the engineer here. The Poachers, I think, shot at something else. Okay, maybe it might have shot at the Scorchwings too. I think it has arc. Alright. And yep, Ceremonial Guard is gone. Scorchwings are wavered once again. It's been moving up, getting wavered, backing off, moving up, getting wavered, backing off. So yeah, pretty annoying. Over here, the Halflings charged the Tyrants. And the Trolls charged the Phoenix, but the Phoenix having, I think, 14, 16 nerf or 16, 18, I think it's 16, 18 nerf right now. I might have mistaken, but it's a pretty decent nerf, and it did not kill the Phoenix. Okay, so one thing I want you guys to notice. Do you notice something? Alright, that is the Pride of the Shires is facing this way. Rakawas is within 12 inches, and guess what? Rakawas has Nimble. So I think I could turn and charge this way, hit the rear corner over here. Yep, and so I got a rear charge on the Pride of the Shires, which my opponent did not see because you don't see corkscrews that often, especially from non-flying units, and now especially when you're playing no withdraw, so only square bases can do it. And so that's what I did. Okay, my Rakawas charged into the Pride of Shires, but it's still on the board. Defense 6, so even with rear, it is minus. It's only hit wounding on 4, so I have 12 attacks, so 24 hits from the rear, and 12 wounds on average. Okay, so I think it got wavered, but it rolled his headstrong. Okay, so over here, my double charge, the 2 fires, the greater and the normal fire elementals, did not kill the Horde, and I think it's not even wavered. Okay, so yep, let's see. Over here, Scorchwings decide to turn around and face the Aeronauts because I think I could not get out of the forest anyway, because I was quite deep in. The 5-inch would not have gotten me out of the forest. I'll still be somewhere here. So I decided to reform and face the Aeronauts instead. Okay, and at this point, and actually in previous turns, I had 2 tokens here, right? Let me see. Yeah, there's 2 tokens here, right? I think I burned them both. So while my Ceremonial Guard was still here, I burnt the token here. And when I reformed my Scorchwings, I burned the token here because I think I'm not winning this side. My Scorchwings are gonna die, my Phoenix is gonna die. I'm only left with the Tyrants. Okay, so that's why I burned those 2 tokens. Okay, and let's see what happens over here. Yeah, and I think the Wild Lancers burned the token over here at the start as well, because there's no token here anymore. So we're fighting over this one and this one. Alright, so let's see, top of 5. Okay, the Halflings, I think it was a triple charge on the fire elementals and killed it. The Harvester, the Halfling Braves, and Ellie McSween from the rear. Okay, it killed off the fire elementals. I think it has taken some wounds earlier from Ellie McSween shooting at it constantly. So next up, the Pride of the Shires turned around and punched at Rakawas. Okay, over here on the right side, another bad roll for my opponent. The Aeronauts charged the Phoenix and along with the trolls, and it got double one basically, right? And the last remaining poachers charged the tyrants, not killing it. Okay, and these are my Scotch Wings. I guess because my this guy is constantly healing it, the Mage Priest, and I think the Ancient Phoenix has Radiance and Cloak, right? So it's been healing it constantly. So would not die to the engineers, right? So bottom of 5, let's see what happens. Okay, the Greater Fire killed off the Halfling Braves, and then Rakawas finished off Pride of the Shires. Okay, the Scotch Wings moved up, and my MacLeod moved at the double to start to contest tokens, which was important. Okay, I'm not sure why I'm revealing my rear to. Might be out of front arc of the harvester, that's why. Okay, so I killed off over here, left the trolls over on this side, which is inconsequential to the rest of the game, but I do have lots of stuff here, especially the tyrants. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I think the harvester turned around and faced this way because he wants to hold this token. Okay, the units shot off my Rakawas, basically. I think here, and here, 3 guns. Ellie McSween and 2 engineers shot off Rakawas because he was hurt by Pride of the Shires. Okay, and let's see what else is over there. Wow, I think there was extra shots going here because once again they were wavered. Okay, and the Ancient Phoenix finally went down. Okay, yep, it was wavered, so it just stayed here. And Hero of the Day, MacLeod, moved at the double to contest this token, bottom of 6. So he has 0. Okay, and I have 1 over here. Okay, and so the game ended at the bottom of 6, and I managed to win this one on a 1-0 on Salt the Earth, right? Okay, just to see on the time. So bottom of 4, I've left with should be 6 minutes. Okay, so bottom of 5 is already at 0, and top of bottom of 6. Yep. Definitely a bit slow in that turn 3, but with that 5 minutes more, maybe I could have finished it, because you know the final few turns can be really fast. You just say, I'm gonna do this. There's only a few attacks and that's it. Alright, so let's look at some learning points. Let me lower the volume of the music a little bit first. Alright. Salt the Earth is really a very interesting scenario in my opinion. Right? Yeah, one of the questions you ask, if I'm going to charge all my forces forward, do I burn the tokens on my side? Because if you burn your tokens on your side, you are fully committed, right? You can't hold back and grab your own tokens anymore. If I'm defending, yeah, you should not burn the token until, you know, the turn that you know you're going to lose. The one turn before you know you're going to get charged to death or shot to death. Because if you burn it too early, the opponent might divert their attention somewhere else. It's like, okay, there's nothing worth fighting over here anymore. I might turn away, especially if you have slow melee units. It might not reposition as fast as them. Okay, and I'm really respecting the halfling lists right now, especially, you know, halflings can have very diverse lists. They can have braves and lots of toys, and in my opponent's list is a bit more balanced, but it has quite a good amount of shooting too. And especially with just the 2 poachers, 2 engineers, and a bit of shooting from Pride of the Shires, that machine only has 5 shots only, I think. Yeah, but a good variety of guns. Yeah, so remember the screen from shooting. That's my clan lord dying on top of 1. Okay, so even without withdrawal, do watch out for corkscrew charges from square bases now. Okay, especially Rakawas being able to do that. Okay, and my list has lots of CS2, so I thought, I have lots of CS2, I don't think I need Bane Chan. I think the only one with higher than CS2 is the Greater Fire. So I was like, no problem, no need Bane Chan. But yeah, defense 6 can be hard to take down for CS2 only. Right, so I'm gonna end this video. Firstly, I'm gonna shout out to my patrons. 1 peep Anonymous, 2 peep Luke Schaefer, 3 peep Guy Harper, Christopher, and 4th pick Alessandro. So these are for the different tiers of their support, and really thank you guys so much. Keeps me motivated to post more content, keep this going, because content creation is quite a lot of work, right? And do remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, leave a comment on what you thought of this game, what you thought of the opponent's halfling list. And if you're listening to my podcast called Newbie Dice Podcast, you can search it on your favorite podcast app. I do post episodes on my YouTube channel as well. Do send a review to the podcast. Newbie Dice Podcast. And this is my Patreon link. So if you'd like to support me, if you like what I'm doing, creating informative battle reports so that we can all learn and play the game better, that is my mission. So you can support me on Patreon. And that's it. Battle reports of my Salamanders versus Halflings. A few more content coming up soon, including a podcast and an interesting fun video. So do stay tuned for my next video. I'll see you soon.